Here's a quick reminder. Your site of pain is not always the spot that you actually need to work on to improve your pain. Yesterday, I saw a client who has pain on the front of her knees, and it happens when she jumps and when she climbs stairs. This is pretty indicative of a jumper's knee, in which usually we say we need to strengthen the quads. Now, with something that happens on both sides, I'm always going to look to the core because something higher up the chain is causing that pain to happen on both sides, or dysfunction. It doesn't even have to be pain. I look at dysfunction as something that is tight, that the tissues are tight, that they're more restricted. There's a higher tone in them as opposed to something that's normal tone. And we can look and see, like, is there a dysfunction there? Now, the typical treatment for jumper's knee is strengthen the quads. Gradual, slowly. You want to reduce the load so that you're letting the tissues have time to rest, and then gradually increasing that over time. This doesn't always have to happen. You don't have to stop doing what you're doing, but you do have to listen to it. If things are getting worse, then pull yourself back and work on the strength end of it. Now, this particular person does have high tone in her quads, and we do need to work on strengthening them. But they're tight in relationship to our hamstrings being tight. And the hamstrings are overworking for the quads, which are underworking. So one exercise that we started with, because it's pretty simple, is stretch your hamstring with an opposite straight leg raise, and then do the reverse so that we're getting a stretch in the hamstring before you strengthen the quad. This is a great exercise to strengthen core at the same time. And a compensation I saw this young lady have was she was really pulling up with her neck and compensating, trying to get her core engaged to be able to hold her leg into a hamstring stretch. We quickly slowed it down, regressed a little bit, and went into some basic core exercises. I start with breathing exercises, making sure that she can own her breath. It's a first visit, so we didn't get into much more in the first visit, but we go through 4 breathing exercises that kind of resets her breathing mechanics and gets her core stable at the same time. And then she can get into the hamstring stretch with the straight leg raise to promote better strength in the quads and reduce the tension in through the hamstring. If the hamstrings are overworking and they're shutting down the quads, you can strengthen the quads all you want, but those hamstrings are just going to keep pulling and shutting down the quads till they fatigue, and then it creates that bigger problem. So her problem right now, and we have more to uncover, it's not just a one-stop fix, but it's not the quads that are the problem, it's the hamstrings that are tight, and the quads are fighting against them. So we got to stretch the hamstrings, strengthen the quads all together. But really, the main problem is we got to get her core firing. And we're going to dive into that more as we go along. But as we start to get her breathing mechanics right, we get her to train where her ribs and her pelvis need to line up and get the core stable and acting reflexively, the rest of the lower body is going to fall into place, and she's going to be able to have more power when she jumps and less pain. And then that's going to be climbing stairs easier and all of the above. So don't always just think that because you have knee pain, you have to jump right into strengthening or stretching your quads. That would have been a big thing, like, oh, my quads are really tight. Well, she's got full range of motion in her quads. She doesn't need to stretch the quads. She does need to strengthen, but she needs to strengthen in relationship to the hamstrings. The key is find out what's tight and overworked. Where is the movement restriction? Then find out what's weak and underworked. Can they do it correctly, or are they compensating with another body part? In which case they have to regress and they have to get to the main root of it. If something is sore and uncomfortable on both sides, look more to the core and get that functioning properly first, getting your, not just holding steady, but being able to move the separate parts. So the top of the core is the rib cage, the bottom of the core is the pelvis, and getting those to move segmentally and together, and being able to efficiently move the abdominals along with the diaphragm and the pelvic floor and all of the stuff, get those moving appropriately, and the rest of it will likely fall in place. She has a little bit of work to do, but I think she's going to be back to jumping and climbing stairs in no time. It's going to be pretty quick, and then she's just got to learn how to build that strength on top of it. So don't always expect that it's the site of pain is where your problem is coming from. Be open to looking elsewhere and exploring what needs to get worked on. And if you need help, seek out somebody who knows how to improve your mobility and at the same time do some strength work that takes you in the right direction and gets you there faster.